Hello and welcome. It's 10 a.m. on Monday, the 22nd of December. You're tuned in to our mid-morning newscast here on ARIRANG TV. Thanks for joining us on this very cold and snowy day here in Seoul. I'm Mark Broome. Let's take a look at what's making the headlines. The Korean government puts emphasis on carrying out structural reforms in 2015 as it cuts the nation's growth outlook for this year and the next. US President Barack Obama says North Korea's hack attack on Sony Pictures was an act of cyber vandalism, not of war, but says Pyongyang may be relisted as a state sponsor of terrorism. Plus, President Obama condemns the murder of 2 New York City police officers in an apparent retribution attack for recent police killings of unarmed black men. But our top story this morning, the Korean government has cut its growth outlook for this year and the next. As concerns rise, the country could be slipping headfirst into a low-growth trap. To try and ensure this doesn't happen, officials have pledged to push through with comprehensive structural reforms in 2015. Our Hwang Jie reports.
Korea has cut its economic growth target for this year and the next, citing still sluggish domestic demand. The Finance Ministry on Monday lowered its 2014 growth outlook to 3.4% and that of next year to 3.8%. To pull the economy out of its slow growth rut, the government's economy management plan for next year will put emphasis on structural reforms while maintaining its expansionary policy. Under the government plan, policymakers will tackle pressing risks head-on. One major task is to defuse threats posed by snowballing household debt. To help mortgage loan holders and the self-employed better service their debts, the government will use a state housing fund to switch their short-term loans into longer-term loans and swap loans carrying floating rates into those with fixed rates. For the corporate sector, the government will introduce new measures to speed up the debt restructuring process. The move will allow troubled companies to begin workout programs before their financial health becomes irreparable. Longer-term structural changes will focus on the labor, education, financial, and public sectors. The government will seek ways to raise the female labor participation and better utilize the country's foreign workforce, while educational reform will place emphasis on enhancing vocational training. The government plans to promote apprenticeship programs where students in college or in vocational schools can receive training directly from related companies. It would also cut red tape in the financial sector and promote the use of IT at banks and other financial institutions to foster the so-called fintech. In the public sector, the top priority will be on reforming the pension program for civil servants. Through these structural changes, the government aims to lay the groundwork for sustainable economic growth, hopefully making 2015 a turning point for regaining the country's economic vitality. Hwang Jie, ARIRANG News.
Turning now to the diplomatic fallout linked to the recent cyber attack on Sony Pictures. US President Barack Obama says he doesn't think the hacking on Sony's satirical film on North Korea, presumably by the country, was an act of war. However, he is considering putting Pyongyang back on Washington's terror watch list. Connie Lee has more.
Do you think this was an act of war by North Korea?
U.S. President Barack Obama says no, he doesn't think so. But he did call the North Korean-linked cyber attack on Sony Pictures an act of cyber vandalism.
No, I don't think it was an act of war. I think it was an act of cyber vandalism that was very costly, very expensive.
Speaking on CNN's State of the Union with Candy Crowley, President Obama emphasized his earlier stance that the U.S. will take action and respond accordingly to this hack attack against the movie The Interview. It was last month when Sony Pictures suffered a massive cyber attack by hackers who demanded the studio's comedy film on North Korean leader Kim Jong-un not be released. This prompted Sony to cancel its Christmas Day release amid fear of more threats. The FBI linked the hacking to North Korea on Saturday, but the communist state continues to deny any involvement. President Obama, however, is considering redesignating North Korea as a state that sponsors terrorism.
We've got to work with the private sector, and the private sector has to work together to harden their sites. But in the meantime, when there's a breach, we had to go after the wrongdoer.
He also called on Congress to pass a cybersecurity law to protect private sectors in the U.S. So will the interview ever be released? A lawyer for Sony Pictures, speaking to NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday, did say that the film will be distributed, but in what format is still unknown. Connie Lee, Arirang News.
South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff has warned that Seoul will respond firmly to any provocations from North Korea. The strong words on Sunday follow a threat by Pyongyang to attack the South if it lights up a Christmas tree-shaped tower near the inter-Korean border. The Joint Chiefs also called on the North to stop speaking ill of President Park Geun-hye, following Pyongyang's comments that it views the lighting as a move by herself to start a fight between the two Koreas. Last Thursday, a local Christian group cancelled its plans to set up a tree tower near the border after Pyongyang threatened to hold the group responsible for the consequences. Now, China is paying an awful lot of attention to whether North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is going to take up Russia's offer to visit Moscow next May to mark the 70th anniversary of the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany in World War II. Some analysts say Kim might use a visit to try and punish China for their strained ties. Our Son Jung-in has more.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has invited the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to Moscow next year to mark the 70th anniversary of his country's victory over Nazi Germany in the Second World War. Many experts say this could be an opportunity for Kim to establish a solid foothold as a leader. It would also help Pyongyang strengthen its ties with Russia, a permanent veto-wielding member of the UN Security Council, against international criticism on its human rights abuses and nuclear program. North Korea's current weakened relations with China is making Kim even more keen to find a friendly and powerful ally. China, which has taken issue with the North's nuclear arms testing and missile development, has stalled summit talks with Pyongyang for 3 years. Still, it's paying great attention to Kim's possible visit.
Russia has invited North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, among other leaders, to Moscow for the 70th anniversary of the Soviet defeat of Nazi Germany in World War II.
While some speculate Kim may make the visit to Russia as an attempt to prompt a summit between Pyongyang and Beijing, others remain skeptical as Kim has never made a foreign visit since taking power in 2011. There is also the possibility that a visit to Russia may worsen North Korea's relations with China at a time when the North is in desperate need of its help as it's been forced into a corner over its recent cyber attack on Sony Pictures and its abysmal human rights situation. Meanwhile, as South Korean President Park Geun-hye has also been invited to Russia for its celebration, it remains to be seen how the anticipated gathering of the world leaders will pan out. Son Jung-in, Arirang News.
Now, South Korea's presidential jet is going to be fitted with anti-missile gear in 2016 at a cost of roughly $27 million. A military official said on Sunday that the presidential jet will be equipped with a missile approach warning system and a device designed to confuse a missile's infrared guidance system so that it misses its intended target. Korea's arms procurement agency will soon take steps to select a manufacturer for the missile defense systems and will purchase the equipment under a government-to-government deal with the United States. The jet will be on lease to the presidential office until 2020. It's under a contract renewed with Korean Air last October. An international commission has asked Korea's constitutional court for a translation of its recent ruling to dissolve a minor opposition political party. The Venice Commission, which is a group of independent specialists that seeks to protect democracy and rule of law, has asked for the details as soon as possible. Now, it was on Friday, last Friday, when Korea ordered the dissolution of the Unified Progressive Party, or the UPP, as it's more commonly known, for its pro-North Korean principles. Korean officials said translating the ruling, which is massive, more than 300 pages long, will take more than 6 months. The nation's Ministry of Justice is also investigating the legality of stripping the titles of more than 30 local-level UPP lawmakers.
Get connected to Korea and the world. Join us every weekday for the latest developments out of Korea, Asia, and beyond. On air, on your mobile, and online, we lead the way every day. ARIRANG News.
To try and resolve the crisis in Ukraine, the European Union also offers 15 billion. Now to New York City, where people gathered at a makeshift memorial on Sunday local time for the 2 police officers shot dead by an African-American gunman who then killed himself. Police say the gunman, identified as 28-year-old Ismail Brinsley, may have been seeking revenge for the death of Eric Gartner, an unarmed black man who died after being put into a chokehold by a white officer. The deceased suspect had previously posted chilling anti-cop messages on his social media pages. Now, US President Barack Obama has expressed outrage and condemned the killings of the Hispanic and Asian officers. Meanwhile, in the state of Florida, a veteran police officer was also shot and killed on Sunday. Police say 45-year-old officer Charles Condemns, a father of 5, was gunned down in Tarpon Springs while responding to a call. According to Reuters, 23-year-old Marco Antonio Parilla Jr. was arrested for the shooting after fleeing the scene and crashing into a telephone pole and another vehicle. Back here in Korea, and in light of the recent hacking of nuclear reactors here in the nation, the state-run Nuclear Power Corporation says it's going to conduct large-scale cybersecurity drills at 4 power plants today and tomorrow. Now, this comes as the hacker leaked even more information about the facilities on Sunday and threatened more leaks if the government doesn't shut down some of its reactors by Christmas. Freshly leaked data includes floor maps, operation manuals and also safety reports. Now, this is the 4th such posting since last Monday, so they're becoming thick and fast. The Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Corporation says the leaked information is not related to core technologies and does not pose a threat to the reactor's safety. The Korean government is seeking to bring about greater social cohesion, but to achieve its ambitious goal, it may first have to change the bitter atmosphere within Korean politics itself. Our Jim Young-gil tells us more.
A majority of Koreans think political bickering is what incites social conflict, according to a new survey released Sunday by the Presidential Committee for National Cohesion. 54% of respondents said lawmakers are more focused on informing constituents about their party's platform and ideology than they are on legislative affairs. They said political standoffs only hinder the passage of urgent livelihood bills and thousands of other draft bills awaiting review in the National Assembly. The other factors they cited as contributing to social conflict were the gap between rich and poor at 43%, individualism at 35%, and overly sensational news coverage by the media at 32%. A majority of respondents, or 78%, said class is the biggest source of social conflict, followed by ideological conflicts, labor and management conflicts, and regional conflicts. The survey notes that despite the many conflicts embedded in Korean society, hard work will be rewarded, indicating that there are opportunities for those who make an effort. The committee said the survey, conducted with 2,000 respondents, was carried out in order to assess the state of lingering social problems in Korean society, so that plans for improving social cohesion could be devised. Kim Young-gil, ARIRANG News.
Now, most people in Korea retire in their early 60s, and this leaves them ample time to enjoy their golden years. But many struggle with ways to fill up their days. But the IT sector has opened up some new opportunities for them, and companies are starting to take notice. Our Paulie has this story.
At the social venture firm, 68-year-old Kim Yoon-tae checks the video contents posted on websites and blogs one by one. Making use of his 35 years of experience as a teacher, he monitors and erases videos or photos that could have a negative impact on children and teens.
It's quite a fulfilling job. I feel rewarded to know that I am keeping the digital world safe for the young.
Over 300 older workers like Kim are in charge of filtering contents at the company. Portal site Naver, which entrusted them with the task, has been so satisfied with the results that they plan to increase the workforce to 500.
They are committed to their work and give their all. The work atmosphere is also great because they are all gratified by what they are doing, and their performance is outstanding.
With a pomegranate placed in the center of the table, this retiree is busy drawing a still life painting using his iPad. Jung Byung-gil, who retired after working for over 30 years at a bank, has become an iPad painter with the help of a community program that helps the elderly get back on their feet. Jung is now leading an active social life and even held his first ever iPad art exhibition.
This field is new for many of my age, but it is gaining attention. I am just happy to have found something to do in life.
The expansion of social networks and information and communications technology is helping retirees find new challenges so they can open a new and fulfilling chapter in their lives. Paul Yi, ARIRANG News.
Well, now we're going to take a look at the largest fashion hub in Korea. It's Seoul's iconic Dongdaemun fashion town, and it is visited by millions of tourists and local shoppers each and every year. Our Park Ji-won has this week's Industry Insight.
You can't talk about Korea's fashion industry without mentioning the Dongdaemun fashion market. Dongdaemun Fashion Town is the largest clothing market in Korea, and about 1/3 of all Korea's clothing distributors are based near the region. From textiles and clothing subsidiary materials to sewing factories and wholesale and retail shops. If it has to do with clothing and fashion, you will find it here. A designer's idea can be made into a final product in just a day. Let's take a look. This is Dongdaemun Fashion Town, the location of more than 30 fashion malls and tens of thousands of small clothing shops.
It's really amazing, all the districts, all the fashion, it's really nice.
I sometimes see items with unique designs that I cannot find at brand or department stores.
Retail shops are open from midnight or 2 a.m. and wholesale shops open from 8 p.m. to the next morning, meaning the market operates 24 hours a day. What's peculiar to the district is that it's like a complete fashion ecosystem where everything about fashion is clustered together. Thousands of fabric and clothing subsidiary shops and more than 20,000 small sewing factories are all nearby. Designers can turn their ideas into clothes in just a day by making a sample. And once the design is confirmed, mass production can start after another day or two. With Dongdaemun's fast yet sophisticated designs gaining global recognition, many orders now come from abroad.
Now we get many sample making orders from China as Chinese buyers visit Dongdaemun often.
The Dongdaemun district makes more money from exports than domestic sales, especially in the wholesale market.
Roughly 60% of the town's annual revenue comes from exports. International buyers are mostly from China, Taiwan, and Japan.
The fashion town also serves as a testbed for many up-and-coming designers.
Here's a hip fashion mecca where you can make and sell clothes. The region helps in my market research and market sourcing.
Some designers have successfully grown from single shops to fashion empires. This modern brand began from a shop in Dongdaemun, but has expanded to include dozens of shops in China.
Cotis Combined started as a shop in Dongdaemun in 2002. Now we have many products in many categories, particularly menswear, underwear, and a kids' clothing line.
Fashion group Hyungji, which has the #1 market share in women's clothes as a domestic company, also started as a humble shop in Dongdaemun Market in the early 1980s.
The founder of the group still emphasizes the so-called Dongdaemun spirit, which is characterized by designs that are ahead of their time in order to survive the fierce competition, thorough product management, and affordable prices.
The Dongdaemun fashion market has served as a breeding ground for clothing businesses and designers ever since the end of Korean War. Thanks to the market's unique features and its vibrant energy, Korea's leading fashion hub now attracts millions of people from both inside and outside of the country. Park Ji-won, ARIRANG News.
And a good Monday morning to you all as we kick things off in baseball, where the highest bid for Nexen Heroes slugger Kang Jungho was revealed to be $5,000,015. And after the Nexen Heroes accepted the bid, now it's up to Kang Jungho to agree to a contract. Now, although it still hasn't been revealed which team won the rights to negotiating a deal with Kang Jungho, the Nexen Heroes shortstop held a press conference on Sunday at the Mokdong Stadium to talk about his future. He stated that he plans to break the stereotype the Major League scouts have on the Korean fielders and added that the Major Leagues isn't his final step in his career. Now, the 27-year-old became the first shortstop in the KBO to hit 40 home runs this past season, as he now has 30 days to sign a contract. And now shifting over to the fourth stage of the 2014-2015 Ice Shoe Short Track World Cup, which finished off at the Mokdong Ice Rink in Seoul over the weekend. And even with 17-year-old Shim Seok-hee pulling out due to a flu, the Koreans still dominated the event. And of course, highlighting the Sunday's competitions were the Korean men who swept the 3,000-meter event, as Lee Jung-soo, Kwak Young-gi, and Shin Da-eun finished first, second, and third, respectively. But with Shim Seok-hee out of the event, it was the 16-year-old Choi Min-jung who didn't disappoint on the final day, adding a 1,500-meter gold for her second gold medal in the fourth stage of the Short Track World Cup in Seoul. And staying with winter sports, one of the athletes who garnered a lot of attention prior to the Sochi Winter Games was Yoon Sung-bin, who started making a name for himself in the skeleton competitions. But over the weekend, he topped it all off with Korea's first bronze medal in a World Cup event. Now, with the second stage of the Skeleton World Cup taking place in Calgary, Canada, the 20-year-old completes the first and second attempts for a combined time of 1 minute 52.23 seconds, good for a third overall. And not only is it Korea's first medal in the Skeleton World Cup event, but the highest finish ever in a sledding competition. And now finishing things off in football, where the week-long training session in Jeju finished off on Sunday for the Korean national football team, but not before an inter-squad friendly led by the two assistant coaches. Now, led by Coach Shin Tae-yong and Park Gun-ha, the team was split into two teams, as the Blue Dragons, led by Coach Shin, took on the White Tigers, led by Coach Park. And despite the White Tigers taking a 2-0 lead thanks to goals from Sangju's Lee Jung-hyuk and Jeonbuk's Lee Jae-sung, the Blue Dragons rallied back to tie the match at 2-2. As the final training day came to an end with a 2-2 draw. Meanwhile, head coach Uli Stilicke plans to announce his Asian Cup roster soon, with the national team playing a friendly against Saudi Arabia on January 4th. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Well, it's snowing heavily here in Seoul on this Dongji Day, the 22nd solar term of 24. The city is blanketed with white snow, so be extra careful today. The sub-zero morning temperatures could freeze roads and sidewalks, and the capital is forecasted to receive 1 centimeter of snow. But as we can see, more snow clouds are coming into the peninsula, and it's going to snow till the lunch hour. Though the freezing morning lows should turn into milder afternoon highs, jumping into positive side. So let's take a closer look. Now, the afternoon temperature here in Seoul will hike up to 1, while Daegu and Gwangju should peak at 5, and Busan will top out at 6 this afternoon. And as for the other regions, Jeju Island will rise to 7, while Daejeon and Dokdo will be getting up to 3 and 2 respectively. The cold snap will subside this afternoon and remain on the mild side for this week, with highs staying on the positive side. Well, on a Christmas day, it's not going to be a white Christmas, but temperatures will cooperate for any outdoor activities that you have planned on that day. That's all for now. Back to you, Mark, in the studio.
Well, thank you very much, Jiyeon, for the weather. And all our viewers out there in Korea, do be careful on the roads because, like Jiyeon said, it is very slippery and rather dangerous. We'll be back again at noon Korea time with our next newscast. Until then, goodbye.